6 months had passed since the tribunal. The galaxy was changing, slowly but surely. Representative Deho walked through the new council chambers on Varathis Prime, still getting used to his formal robes and his new title. He was no longer just a ship captain. He was humanity's voice in galactic government. The council had been restructured completely. Instead of a small group making decisions in secret, there were now 47 seats for human representatives, and the entire decision-making process was broadcast live to all member worlds. Transparency was the new law. Dr. Minji, now Chancellor Minji, led the newly formed Scientific Ethics Committee. Her job was to review all advanced technologies across the galaxy and ensure they were developed safely. It was exhausting work, but she threw herself into it with fierce determination. "We're receiving applications for review from 17 different species this week," her assistant told her. "Everyone wants approval for their research now." Minji smiled tiredly. "Good. That means they're learning. After Earth, I think everyone understands why ethics matter." In another part of Varathis Prime, Ambassador Hyunsik met with representatives from the Aviri, the bird-like species that Security Chief Soran belonged to. Soran had become a hero to his people for standing up for justice, but it had cost him.
Many in his species saw him as a traitor. "We want to apologize formally," the Aviri representative said, their feathers drooping in shame.
"Our species supported the old council's decision. We were complicit in Earth's destruction." Hyunsik nodded slowly. "Apology accepted. But words aren't enough. Show us through actions. Help us rebuild." "We will," the representative promised. "We're sending engineers to help with Earth's restoration." Earth's restoration was the most ambitious project in galactic history. The planet was dead, poisoned by radiation, its atmosphere gone, but humanity refused to let it stay that way. With help from dozens of species, massive atmospheric processors were being installed. Terraforming technology that would take 200 years was beginning its slow work. General Tajin stood on what remained of Earth's surface, watching the first processor activate. He wore a heavy radiation suit, but he had insisted on being there in person. The old warrior had spent his life preparing for war, but peace had come instead. He wasn't sure how to feel about that. "It won't be done in our lifetime," a young engineer named Minho said, standing beside him. The boy was only 18, born after the tribunal, representing a new generation. "But our great-great-grandchildren will walk on grass here. They'll swim in oceans. They'll breathe without suits." "Good," Tajin said gruffly. "That's worth more than revenge ever would have been." Director Jisoo ran the Galactic Historical Truth Commission from a building that had once housed the Council's secret archives. Now those archives were open to everyone. She had spent months organizing everything, making sure every species could access their own histories. "We've had over 10 billion requests for information," she told Hyunsik during a meeting. "Beings from across the galaxy are learning about their own pasts. Some of it is ugly. Some species discovered their governments lied to them too. Truth is painful," Hyunsik said, "but lies are worse." Councillor Fex, now serving as supreme arbiter of the new council, worked tirelessly to keep the peace. The old reptilian had more energy now than he'd had in centuries. Purpose, it seemed, was better than any medicine. "We're receiving complaints from the Urgath," his aide told him. "War Chief Krothar is angry that humans refused his alliance." "He's making threats," Fex sighed.
"Schedule a meeting."
"We'll talk to him. Violence is no longer how we solve problems." The meeting with Krothar was tense. The massive warrior towered over everyone, his forearms crossed in anger. "You humans are weak," he snarled. "You had the chance for ultimate power and threw it away. You could rule the galaxy and instead you beg for acceptance." Representative Deho met his glare calmly. "We're not weak. We're choosing a different kind of strength. The kind that builds instead of destroys. And when someone threatens you, when someone tries to take what's yours, then we defend ourselves," Deho replied. "But we don't attack first. We don't become the thing we hate," Krothar laughed harshly. "We'll see how long that idealism lasts. The galaxy is full of predators." After he left, Fex turned to Deho. "He's not wrong, you know. There will be challenges. Some species will test you. They'll want to see if your peaceful words match your actions." "Let them test us," Deho said. "We'll prove ourselves through our choices." But not everyone in humanity shared that peaceful vision. In the outer colonies, groups of humans still called for vengeance. They built monuments to Jinwu, calling him a martyr. They spoke of the tribunal as a betrayal. Admiral Borum dealt with these groups patiently. She traveled from colony to colony, meeting with angry young people, listening to their pain. "I understand," she told a gathering on one of the frontier worlds. "I'm angry too. Earth was our home. They took it from us. But Yunji showed us another way. She proved that we're better than our worst impulses. Honor her sacrifice by building something worth her death." Slowly, month by month, the anger began to cool. Not disappear, but transform into something productive. Humans channeled their grief into rebuilding, into creating, into proving that they deserved their place among the stars. 1 year after the tribunal, a ceremony was held on Earth's surface. Representatives from every council species came to unveil a monument. It was a massive structure made from materials contributed by all 847 member worlds. Standing where the old quantum research facility had been, carved into it were names. Millions of names. Every being who had died because of the old council's authoritarian rule, from every species across thousands of years. Humans were there, but so were Averii, Draxians, Kavalathi, and hundreds of others. The monument was a reminder that tyranny hurt everyone. At the top, larger than the others, was one name, Yunji. Young Minho read the inscription aloud. She chose peace when war was easier. She chose sacrifice when survival was possible. She chose hope when despair seemed justified. She chose to be human. Representative Deho stood before the monument, his sister Minji beside him. Ambassador Hyunsik was there. So was Councillor Fex. Even General Taijin, uncomfortable in his formal robes. "We dedicate this monument not just to the dead," Daiho said, his voice carrying across the barren landscape, "but to the future. A future where we remember our mistakes so we never repeat them, where we choose justice over vengeance, where we build bridges instead of walls." He paused, looking up at Yunji's name. "She gave us a gift. Not power, but purpose. The purpose of being better than we have to be. Of choosing peace even when war seems easier. That's the real human strength. Not probability manipulation or any technology, but the ability to choose our own fate." The ceremony ended with each representative placing a stone at the monument's base. It was a tradition from dozens of cultures, a sign of remembrance and commitment. As the last stone was placed, the first atmospheric processor hummed to life in the distance. A faint breeze stirred the dead dust. It would take 2 centuries, but that breeze would eventually become wind. The dust would become soil, and Earth would live again. Back on Vorathius Prime in the new council chambers, Representative Daiho prepared to give his first official speech to the full assembly. Billions of beings across the galaxy would watch. He looked at his notes, then set them aside. This needed to come from the heart. 3,000 years ago, humanity made a terrible mistake, he began. We developed power we couldn't control and refused help from those who feared us. The Council made a terrible mistake too. They chose genocide instead of cooperation. Both sides were wrong. Both sides caused suffering. But today we stand together, not as enemies, not even as allies, but as partners in building something new. A galaxy where fear doesn't drive decisions, where power is balanced by responsibility, where every species has a voice. He paused, his eyes sweeping across the hundreds of representatives. The road ahead won't be easy. We'll make mistakes. We'll disagree. Sometimes we'll fail, but we'll face it together. Because that's what the tribunal taught us, that we're stronger united than we ever were divided. Earth is healing. It will take centuries, but it will heal, and so will we. So will all of us who carry the scars of the past. We'll heal because we choose to, because that's what intelligent beings do. They learn, they grow, they become better. The assembly rose as one, hundreds of species, thousands of beings applauding, not just for the words, but for what they represented. Hope, change, a future where the past didn't have to repeat itself. After the session, a young human child approached Deho. It was Minho's younger sister, barely 10 years old. "Representative Deho," she asked shyly, "will I really get to walk on Earth someday? Without a suit?" Deho knelt down to her level. "Yes, you will. You'll breathe Earth's air, swim in Earth's oceans, see Earth's forests, and you'll tell your children about how we came home, how we faced the galaxy that wronged us and chose peace over war." The girl smiled. "Good. I want to plant a tree there." "Then we'll make sure you can." As the girl ran off, Minji joined her brother. "Do you really think we can do it? Build a better galaxy?" A massive structure appeared in Earth's orbit. assembled from pieces brought by ships from across the galaxy. It was the Tribunal Hall, a temporary station where representatives from 847 worlds would witness justice. Or at least that was the hope. Inside, rows of seats curved around a central platform. Beings of every imaginable form filled the hall. Some wore elaborate robes, others nothing at all. Some breathed oxygen, others sat in sealed tanks of methane or sulfur. But all had come to see humanity confront the Galactic Council. Captain Deho stood at the center platform, flanked by Minji and Hyunsik. Across from them, Councillor Vren stood with 3 other council members who had served 3,000 years ago. Their faces showed no emotion. A neutral arbiter, a crystalline being from a species known for perfect memory and absolute honesty, called the Tribunal to order. "We are here to determine the truth of Earth's destruction," the arbiter said in a voice like chiming bells. "The humans claim it was deliberate genocide. The Council claims it was a necessary action to prevent galactic catastrophe. Both sides will present evidence. The Assembly will judge." Security Chief Saran went first. He displayed the classified documents Jisoo had stolen, showing them on screens for all to see. Meeting minutes. Vote tallies. Plans for weaponizing Earth's sun. "These documents prove the Council voted to destroy Earth," Soren said, his melodic voice clear and strong. "They did not attempt negotiation. They did not offer alternatives. They chose death." Vren stood to respond. His ancient voice carried authority earned over millennia. "We did what we had to do. Humanity developed probability manipulation technology. Do you understand what that means? They could alter reality itself, make impossible things happen, change the outcome of any event. Such power in the hands of one species would have destroyed the balance of the galaxy. Did you ask them to stop?" Minji demanded, stepping forward. "Did you offer to help them control it? Did you try any solution that didn't involve murdering billions?" "We did," Vren said calmly. He gestured, and new documents appeared on the screens. "We sent diplomatic missions. We offered technology exchanges. We proposed joint research programs. Every offer was refused by the human military leadership." Minji's blood ran cold. She hadn't seen these documents before. Councillor Fex rose from his seat in the gallery. "Show them all of it, Vren. Don't hide behind half-truths." Vren's mandibles twitched in annoyance, but he continued. "Some human leaders wanted to cooperate. They proposed sealing away the technology, creating international controls, but they were overruled by their military commanders who wanted to use the probability weapon to conquer the galaxy." A gasp ran through the assembly. Deho felt the floor shift beneath him. This wasn't the story he had been told. "So you killed everyone?" Hyunsik's voice shook with emotion. "Innocent civilians, children, everyone who wanted peace? Because some military leaders were aggressive?" "We saw no other way to guarantee safety," Vren replied. "If even one human survived with access to that technology, the galaxy would be at risk." "But humans did survive," Minji said. 70 colony ships escaped. Billions of us lived. Why didn't you hunt us down if you were so afraid?" Vren was silent for a moment. Finally, he said, "Because some of us hoped you would be better than your ancestors, that living in exile would teach you wisdom." It was Councillor Fex who stood up fully now and walked to the platform. "With permission, I would like to testify." The arbiter nodded. "I voted against Earth's destruction," Fex said. "Not because I thought humans were innocent, but because genocide is never justice. Yes, some human leaders were dangerous, but so were leaders among many species. We could have destroyed the military facilities, targeted the aggressive factions, helped the peaceful humans control their own radicals. Instead, we chose the easiest solution: kill them all." His words hung in the air like an accusation. "And now humanity returns," Fex continued. "Not with probability weapons, not with dreams of conquest, but with a demand for justice under our own laws. Doesn't that prove we were wrong to fear them?" Before anyone could respond, alarms began blaring. Jisoo's panicked voice came over Deho's communicator. "Captain, we've detected a ship approaching Earth's surface. It's heading toward the old quantum research facility where the probability technology was stored." On the view screens, everyone watched as a small ship descended toward Earth's dead surface. "It was human," Jinwoo, Deho whispered. "He's going after the technology. All ships intercept that vessel," Vren commanded. "It cannot be allowed to reach the facility." But Yunji was faster. Her fighter launched from the eternal horizon like a missile. her enhanced reflexes allowing her to calculate vectors no normal human could manage. She pushed her ship to its limits, engines screaming, "Jinwoo, stop!" She broadcast on all frequencies. "You're proving them right. You're showing them we're dangerous." Jinwoo's face appeared on her screen. His eyes were wild, desperate. "They murdered our world, Yoonji, and we're just supposed to forgive them? No, we take back our power. We make them afraid. And then what?" Yoonji shouted back. "We become the monsters? We prove that the council was right to fear us." "Maybe they were right to fear us," Jinwoo said coldly. "Maybe being feared is better than being victims." His ship touched down on Earth's surface. Through the dust and radiation, Yoonji could see the ruins of the old facility. Jinwoo was already running toward it in a radiation suit. Yoonji made a decision. She crashed her ship deliberately into the facility's entrance, blocking it. The impact threw her against her restraints. Pain exploded through her body. Alarms screamed. Her ship was dying. Jinwoo reached her crashed fighter. "Why?" he screamed through the radio. "Why would you stop us from having power?" Yoonji pulled herself from the wreckage. Her augmented body was badly damaged, but she could still move. "Because power isn't what makes us human. Choice is. And I choose peace." She pulled out a detonator. "I've rigged my ship's reactor to explode. It'll destroy this entire facility and everything in it. The probability technology will be gone forever. You'll die too," Jinwoo said, his voice breaking. "I know." Yoonji smiled sadly, but maybe that's the point. Maybe humanity needs to sacrifice its power to prove it's worth trusting. Back in the tribunal hall, everyone watched the scene unfold on the view screens. Minji had tears streaming down her face. Daeho stood frozen, helpless. Yoonji's voice came over the open channel, broadcasting to the entire assembly. "My name is Yoonji. My grandmother watched Earth die. I've lived my whole life as an exile, and I'm angry. We all are. But if we let that anger turn us into the thing they feared, then they win. They were right, so I'm making a choice. The probability technology dies here forever. We'll face the galaxy without it. We'll build our future on trust, not power." She pressed the detonator. The explosion was visible from orbit, a bright flash on Earth's dark surface. The facility, the technology, and Yoonji vanished in an instant. The tribunal hall was silent. Hundreds of species, thousands of beings, all processing what they had just witnessed. Finally, the arbiter spoke. "We have reached a conclusion. The council is guilty of genocide. They acted out of fear rather than justice. But humanity's ancestors were not innocent. Both sides failed. Both sides caused suffering. Therefore," the arbiter continued, "we declare that the Galactic Council must be reformed. New laws will be written. New safeguards will be created. And humanity will be granted full membership in the Council, with equal voice to prevent such injustice from ever occurring again. The punishment for the Council is not destruction, but transformation. The punishment for humanity is the same, to be better than those who came before." Vren bowed his head. Daeho did the same. The tribunal was over, but the real work was just beginning. The announcement of the Tribunal of Equals sent shockwaves through the galaxy. On 847 worlds, beings of every species debated what it meant. Some saw it as humanity's right. Others saw it as a dangerous precedent. If the Council could be put on trial, what did that mean for galactic order? Admiral Borum stood in the command center of New Haven Colony, watching reports flood in from across human space. 70 colonies, billions of people, all waiting for leadership. She was a woman in her 50s, gray streaking her black hair with eyes that had seen too much war. "Admiral, we're receiving requests from 42 colonies asking what they should do." Her aide reported. "Should they mobilize military forces? Send representatives? Some are asking if they should prepare for evacuation in case the Council attacks." Borum took a deep breath. "Tell them to prepare defense fleets, but not to be aggressive. Send their best diplomats and lawyers to meet with Captain Daeho, and tell them to have faith. We've survived 3,000 years. We can survive this, but not everyone shared her patience." In a hidden base in the outer reaches, Commander Jinwoo gathered his followers. He was only 30 years old, but he had spent his entire life studying humanity's lost technology. His obsession with Earth's fate had turned into something darker. "The tribunal is a waste of time," he told the crowd of angry young humans. "The Council will lie. They'll manipulate the evidence. They'll make promises and then betray us again. There's only one language they understand, power. A young woman raised her hand. But Commander, if we attack first, won't that prove them right? Won't that justify what they did? Jinwoo's eyes blazed. They need no justification. They acted out of pure fear and greed. And if we show weakness now, they'll destroy us again. This time, we need to be the ones they fear. Meanwhile, General Taijin commanded the remnant fleet from his flagship, the Vengeance. It was a fitting name for a ship built by exiles. He was a hard man, scarred by battles fought in the dark between stars. His fleet of 300 warships hid in clouds of dark matter, invisible to Council sensors. General, we're receiving Captain Daeho's orders, his communications officer reported. He wants us to maintain defensive positions only. Do not engage unless humans are fired upon first, Taijin grunted. Daeho always was too soft. But he's right, for now. Tell the fleet to stay ready. The moment the Council shows its true colors, we strike. On the eternal horizon, Captain Daeho met with his core team. Minji, Hyunsik, Jisoo, and now Soran sat around a table covered with documents and data tablets. We need to decide where the tribunal will be held, Hyunsik said. Councillor Vren has agreed to it, but he wants it on Varathis Prime where he controls everything. Absolutely not, Minji said firmly. It needs to be neutral ground. Somewhere symbolic. Jisoo looked up from her computer. I have an idea. What about Earth itself? Or what's left of it? Make them face what they did. The room fell silent. Then Daeho slowly smiled. That's perfect. The tribunal will be held in Earth's orbit. Let them look down at the dead world they created, while they try to justify their actions. The proposal went out. The Council tried to refuse, but public pressure from dozens of species forced them to agree. The tribunal would be held at the ruins of Sol, but finding Earth again would not be easy. The Council had removed it from all star charts. Its location was classified, known only to a few. Fortunately, Councillor Fex was one of those few. I will guide you home, the old reptilian told Daeho. I have kept the coordinates safe all these years, waiting for this moment. As ships from dozens of species began gathering, preparing to travel to the Sol system, other forces were moving in the shadows. A massive warrior appeared on Hyunsik's communication screen. It was Krothar, war chief of the Urgath, a species known for their aggression and military power. Human, Krothar growled, his forearms crossed over his armored chest. I have a proposal. My people will support you at the tribunal. We will provide military escort. In exchange, you will share your probability technology with us. Hyunsik felt cold. That technology is what got Earth destroyed. Why would you want it? Because power is the only truth in this galaxy, Krothar replied. The Council fears it. That means it's valuable. Give it to us and we will be your allies. Refuse, and we will be your enemies. I need to discuss this with my people, Hyunsik said carefully. Krothar laughed. A harsh barking sound. Discuss quickly, little diplomat. The tribunal approaches and you'll need friends. After the communication ended, Hyunsik reported the conversation to Daeho. Absolutely not, Daeho said immediately. We don't even have the probability technology anymore. Our ancestors destroyed most of it before they fled Earth. What little remains is locked away where no one can reach it. Does Krothar know that? Minji asked. Probably not. Which means others might come asking for it too. And they did. Over the next weeks, as ships gathered for the journey to Sol, 3 different species approached humanity with similar offers. Trade the probability technology for support. Each time Daeho refused. But one conversation was different. A young human appeared on Daeho's screen. He had never seen her before, but something about her seemed familiar. Captain Daeho, my name is Yunji. I'm a pilot from the frontier colonies. I want to volunteer to escort the human delegation to Earth. We have many volunteers, Daeho said. Why should I choose you? Yunji smiled. Because I'm the best pilot humanity has. I have augmented reflexes, enhanced neural processing. I was designed for this. And because my grandmother was on the last ship to leave Earth, she told me stories. I want to see home, even if it's just ruins. There was something in her eyes, a determination that reminded Daeho of himself. All right, Yunji, you're in. But follow orders. This isn't just about flying. It's about representing humanity. I understand, sir. As the day of departure approached, Jisoo made a disturbing discovery. She was analyzing Council communications when she noticed encrypted messages being sent to multiple species. Someone's trying to sabotage the tribunal, she told Minji urgently. I can't break the encryption, but the message traffic patterns suggest coordination. Someone doesn't want us to reach Earth. Who? Could be hardliners in the Council who want to cover up the truth. Could be species afraid of what humanity represents. Could even be some humans who want war instead of justice. Minji felt a chill. Tell Deho we need extra security, but it was too late. As the massive convoy of ships prepared to jump to the Sol system, explosions rocked 3 human vessels. Sabotage. Someone had planted bombs. Panic spread through the fleet. Accusations flew. Some blamed the Council. Others blamed rival species. A few blamed humans who wanted to start a war. Deho acted quickly. All ships, this is Captain Deho, we will not be deterred. The guilty will be found and punished, but we will not abandon the tribunal. Everyone who still wants justice, follow me to Earth. Most ships stayed. A few left, too frightened to continue. And in the confusion, no one noticed a small fleet of ships breaking away from the main group. Commander Jinwoo's followers were heading to Sol as well, but they had a different plan. The convoy jumped to hyperspace, crossing hundreds of light years in days. When they emerged, there it was, the Sol system. The star was older now, slightly larger, and orbiting it at a barely stable distance was Earth. The planet was gray and lifeless. The oceans had boiled away. The atmosphere was mostly gone. Where cities once stood, there was only scorched rock. It was a corpse of a world. Minji stared at the screen, tears streaming down her face. Home, she whispered. We're home. Across the fleet, humans wept, some in grief, some in rage, all of them understanding for the first time the true scale of what had been taken from them. And on hundreds of ships from dozens of species, other beings looked at the dead planet and understood what the Council had done. This wasn't an accident. This was murder. The tribunal was about to begin. The starship Eternal Horizon drifted through the darkness of space like a ghost returning from the dead. Inside the command bridge, Captain Deho stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the viewing screen. His weathered face showed no emotion, but his heart raced. After 10 years of traveling through unmapped space, they had finally reached the border of Council territory. We're in range, Captain, the communications officer said softly. Deho nodded. Send the signal. Use the old frequency protocols. The message went out into the void, traveling at the speed of light toward the nearest monitoring station. It was simple, direct, and would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. This is the vessel Eternal Horizon, representing the survivors of Sol 3. We request peaceful contact with the Galactic Council. Humanity has returned. 3 light years away at monitoring station Kappa 7, alarms began screaming. A young Valathi officer stared at her screen in disbelief. Her insect-like eyes widened, and her mandibles clicked nervously. Sol 3, Earth. Those words shouldn't exist anymore. They had been erased from every database, every record, every memory 3,000 years ago. Get me the Council, now, she shrieked. On Varathis Prime, the massive station city that served as the capital of galactic government, Councillor Vren received the emergency transmission. The ancient Kavalathi had lived for over 4,000 years, and very little surprised him anymore. But this did. He stood on 6 legs, his crystalline wings trembling slightly. Impossible, he whispered. Then louder to his aides. Convene the full council. Emergency session. Tell them it's about Earth. Within hours, the Grand Council chamber filled with representatives from 847 worlds. Beings of every shape and size filled the curved rows of seats. Some breathed oxygen, others methane. Some had skin. Others had scales or chitin or fields of pure energy. But they all shared one thing: confusion and fear. Vren's voice echoed through the chamber. We have received a transmission from a ship claiming to represent humanity. The species from Sol 3, Earth. The chamber erupted in chaos. Voices shouted in 100 languages. Impossible! Earth is gone! This must be a trick. Who would dare claim to be human? Vren raised a claw for silence. They are requesting permission to dock for verification. I propose we allow it, under full quarantine conditions. The vote was close, but curiosity won over fear. Back on the Eternal Horizon, Deho's sister Dr. Minji rushed onto the bridge. She was younger than him by 5 years, with bright eyes that had spent decades studying ancient ruins and forbidden texts. In her hands she carried a data tablet. They've responded, she said breathlessly. They want us to dock at Quarantine Station Theta 9. We'll have to submit to inspection. Deho allowed himself a small smile. They took the bait. Ambassador Hyunsik, prepare the delegation. A young man stepped forward, straightening his formal robes. Hyunsik was only 32 years old, born in the colony ships that had fled Earth's destruction. He had trained his entire life for this moment. His hands shook slightly, but his voice was steady. I'm ready, Captain. We all are. As the ship changed course toward the quarantine station, Deho walked to his private quarters. There he opened a secure channel. A gruff face appeared on the screen, scarred and hard. General Tajin, Deho said quietly. We're moving forward. Are the fleets in position? The general's face was grim. All 70 colony worlds have reported ready status. The remnant fleet is hidden in dark matter clouds throughout Council space. If they try anything, we'll make them regret it. Let's hope it doesn't come to that, Deho replied. But stay ready. He closed the channel and looked at an old photograph on his desk. It showed Earth as it had been, blue and green and beautiful, taken by one of the last evacuation ships. His great-great-grandmother had been on that ship. She had watched their homeworld die. 2 days later, the Eternal Horizon docked at the quarantine station. The station was massive, designed to hold entire fleets if necessary. As Deho, Minji, Hyunsik, and a small crew disembarked, they were met by dozens of armed guards from various species. A bird-like creature with brilliant blue feathers stepped forward. I am Security Chief Soren, the creature said in a melodic voice. You will follow me. You will be scanned, tested, and interviewed. Any resistance will be met with force. Hyunsik bowed respectfully. We understand. We came here for peace, not conflict. As they walked through the sterile corridors, Minji noticed something strange. The guards weren't just cautious. They were afraid. Some wouldn't meet her eyes. Others whispered to each other when they thought the humans couldn't hear. They're scared of us, she murmured to Deho. But why? We've been gone for 3,000 years. Maybe they know something we don't, Deho replied quietly. In a small room, Minji presented her evidence to a panel of council scientists. She showed them DNA samples proving human genetic markers. She displayed artifacts recovered from old ruins, showing Earth's technological signatures. And finally, she activated a small device that hummed with quantum energy. This is a quantum beacon, she explained. Only Earth-origin technology can produce this specific resonance pattern. It cannot be faked or replicated. The lead scientist, a slug-like being with 6 eye stalks, examined the readings. His skin turned a pale green, which Minji had learned meant shock. This is authentic, he said slowly. These beings are genuinely human. While the scientists verified their identity, Ambassador Hyunsik met with council representatives. He spoke passionately about humanity's desire for peace, for understanding, for a place among the stars again. We don't seek revenge, he told them. We seek answers. Why was Earth destroyed? Why were we erased from history? We have a right to know. But as he spoke, he noticed something in their faces. Guilt. They knew. Whatever had happened to Earth, it hadn't been an accident. Meanwhile, Minji had gained limited access to the council archives. She searched through old files looking for any mention of Earth. Most had been deleted, but she found fragments. References to the Earth problem and Project Erasure. Documents that spoke of humanity as a threat to galactic stability. Late that night, as the human delegation was escorted to their quarters, a small figure approached them in the shadows. It was Counselor Fex, an elderly reptilian with kind eyes. Walk with me, he said softly to Hyunsik, and speak quietly. They moved to an observation window overlooking the stars. Your ancestors were not the victims you believe them to be, Fex said carefully. But neither were they the threat we claimed. The truth is complicated and dangerous. Tell me, Hyunsik demanded. 3,000 years ago, humans developed something remarkable, technology that could manipulate probability itself, controlled quantum luck. The council saw this as an existential threat. We voted to neutralize your species before you could use it. Hyunsik's blood ran cold. You murdered billions because you were afraid? Yes, Fex said simply. And we've regretted it ever since. Some of us, anyway. Before Hyunsik could respond, alarms began blaring. Deho's communicator buzzed urgently. Captain, we've detected weapons powering up. The station is preparing to fire on us. The council had made their decision. The humans knew too much. They couldn't be allowed to leave, but they had underestimated humanity. As armored troops rushed toward the human quarters, explosions rocked the station. Small stealth drones that Deho had secretly deployed began attacking key systems. "Move! Now!" Deho shouted, pulling out weapons his team had smuggled aboard. They ran through the chaos, fighting their way back to their ship. But they were outnumbered. Just as they were about to be overwhelmed, Security Chief Saran appeared, firing at his own troops. "This way," the bird-like alien shouted. "I won't let them commit murder again." With Soren's help, the humans reached the eternal horizon. The ship's engines roared to life. As they pulled away from the exploding station, Daiho opened all broadcast channels. "People of the galaxy," he said, his voice carrying to billions of beings across thousands of worlds. 3,000 years ago, the Galactic Council destroyed Earth and murdered billions of humans. They did this out of fear, without negotiation or mercy. We have proof, and now we demand justice. The message spread like wildfire across the galaxy. The secret was out. Humanity had returned, and they wanted the Council to stand trial. The eternal horizon raced through space, dodging Council patrol ships. Captain Deho stood at the helm, his jaw set tight. Behind them, Quarantine Station Theta 9 burned, its emergency lights flickering like dying stars. Security Chief Saran sat at a console, helping navigate them through Council space, even though every instinct told him he was betraying everything he had sworn to protect. "Why did you help us?" Minji asked the bird-like alien. Her voice was gentle, curious rather than accusatory. Saran's feathers ruffled. "Because I read the classified files. I know what the Council did to your world. It was murder, plain and simple. I became a security officer to protect innocent beings, not to cover up genocide." On the bridge's main screen, Deho's broadcast was already causing chaos across the galaxy. News networks picked up the story. Social media platforms exploded with debate. Some called it lies. Others demanded answers. But everyone was talking about Earth. In her small cabin, a young woman named Jisoo worked frantically at her computer terminal. She was the ship's information specialist, barely 25 years old, but already the best hacker humanity had ever produced. Her fingers flew across the keyboard as she downloaded files from Council databases before they could be encrypted or deleted. "Got it," she whispered to herself, eyes wide. "Oh, ancestors, I've got it." She ran to the bridge, nearly tripping over her own feet. "Captain, Dr. Minji, you need to see this." She pulled up files on the main screen. They were ancient, encrypted with codes that took her hours to break, but the content was clear enough. Documents labeled Project Erasure, meeting minutes from 3,000 years ago. And most damning of all, a voting record. The Council knew, Jisoo said, her voice shaking. They voted to destroy Earth. It wasn't an accident or a natural disaster. They weaponized our sun. They made it expand and consume the inner planets. Minji felt sick. She had suspected, but seeing the proof was different. How many voted for it? 612 in favor, 235 against. Jisoo scrolled through the documents. The ones who voted against were expelled from the Council or went into hiding. Ambassador Hyunsik stared at the screen, his face pale. "We need to show this to the galaxy. This is our evidence," but Deho shook his head. "Not yet. If we release everything now, the Council will just claim the documents are fake. We need more. We need witnesses. We need to find those who voted against the erasure." Soren spoke up from his station. "There's one. Councillor Fex. He's old, older than most, but he has always been different. If anyone kept records or would testify, it would be him. Then we find him," Deho said firmly. Meanwhile, on Vorithus Prime, Councillor Vren watched the chaos unfold from his private chambers. His compound eyes reflected the screens showing riots on dozens of worlds. Species were questioning the Council's authority. Some were demanding the truth. Others were calling for war against humanity. An aide entered nervously. "Sir, the military wants permission to hunt down the human ship. General Crothar of the Urgath is offering his fleet." Vren's mandibles clicked in thought. Crothar was ambitious and violent. Giving him authority to hunt humans would be dangerous, but letting the humans continue spreading their message was equally risky. "Tell Crothar to wait," Vren said finally. "First, we try to control the narrative. Release a statement saying the documents are falsified by human terrorists. Say that Earth's destruction was a tragic accident." But even as he gave the order, Vren knew it was too late. The secret was out, and secrets once revealed could never be buried again. The Eternal Horizon arrived at coordinates provided by Soran. It was a small moon orbiting a gas giant in neutral space. On that moon lived Counselor Fex in self-imposed exile. The old reptilian greeted them at his modest dwelling. His scales were dull with age, but his eyes were sharp. "I wondered when humans would return," Fex said, gesturing for them to enter. "I have waited 3,000 years for this day." Inside his home, every wall was covered with data crystals and paper documents. Fex had spent centuries collecting evidence, recording testimonies, preserving the truth that the Council wanted erased. "I voted against the destruction of Earth," Fex told them, his voice heavy with old grief. "I argued that humanity deserved a chance to control their probability technology, that we should help them rather than destroy them. But I was outvoted. Why didn't you speak out before?" Hyunsik asked, trying to keep anger from his voice. "Because they would have killed me," Fex said simply, "and dead I could preserve nothing. So I went into exile, collecting proof, waiting for the day when humans would return and I could help them seek justice." Minji examined the documents. They were authentic, no question. Detailed records of council meetings, video recordings of debates, testimony from scientists who had protested the decision, everything they needed to prove their case. "There's something else you should know," Fex said quietly. "Your ancestors weren't perfect. The probability technology was dangerous. Some humans wanted to use it for conquest, but most of your leaders proposed sealing it away, controlling it through international cooperation. The Council refused to listen, because they saw any human survival as a threat," Deho said bitterly. "Yes, fear makes monsters of us all." While they talked, Jisoo was busy transmitting the evidence to hidden human colonies across the galaxy. Billions of humans in 70 different star systems received the proof. The scattered tribes of humanity were learning the truth together. One of those colonies was New Haven, led by Admiral Borum. She was a careful, thoughtful leader who preferred negotiation to violence. When she saw the evidence, she called an emergency council meeting. "This changes everything," she told her advisors. "We have proof. Real proof. But what do we do with it?" "We go to war," said one military commander. "We make them pay for what they did." "No," Borum said firmly. "War will only prove that the Council was right to fear us. We need to be better than them. We demand a trial, a public accounting. We show the galaxy that we want justice, not revenge." But not everyone agreed. In another colony, a man named Jinwoo gathered followers around him. He was young, angry, and had grown up on stories of Earth's beauty. The pain of losing a world he never knew burned in his heart. "Admiral Borum is weak," he told his people. "The Council destroyed our home. They murdered our ancestors. And she wants to talk? No, we find their probability weapon research. We rebuild it. And we make them feel the same fear they made humanity feel." Back on the Eternal Horizon, Daiho received troubling reports. The human colonies were splitting into factions. Some wanted peace, others wanted war, and a few wanted revenge so badly they would become the monsters the Council had feared. "We're running out of time," Minji said. "If we don't unite humanity behind a single goal, we'll tear ourselves apart before the Council even has to fight us." Hyunsik had an idea. "There's an ancient council law, the Tribunal of Equals. Any species that believes it was wronged can demand a full public trial with representatives from all member worlds serving as jury." Soren's eyes widened. "That law is thousands of years old. No one has invoked it in millennia. But it still exists?" Deho asked. "Technically, yes. It's in the original council charter." "Then that's what we demand," Deho decided. "Not war. Not revenge, a trial. Let the galaxy judge who was right and who was wrong." He opened a channel to all human colonies. His face appeared on screens across 70 worlds. "Brothers and sisters," he said. "We have the proof. We know what was done to us. And yes, we're angry. We have every right to be. But if we respond with violence, we prove them right. We prove that humans are dangerous. Instead, I propose we demand something they can't refuse, a public trial under their own laws. Let the galaxy see the truth. Let them judge the Council. That's how we win." Across the human colonies, people listened. Some cheered. Others protested. But slowly a consensus formed. They would demand their tribunal. The message went out to Varathis Prime. Humanity invoked the Tribunal of Equals. The council had no choice but to agree, or admit that their own laws meant nothing. Councillor Vren read the demand with growing dread. A public trial meant everything would come to light, but refusing would make them look guilty. He was trapped, and somewhere in deep space General Tajin prepared the remnant fleet for war just in case.